need to buy yourself a gun. What? Gun. Oh. What? Like a handgun for personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. Gun? Yeah, gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like you Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Jack-footed cops in riot gear gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta drag them through the streets.
All right, it is Tuesday. It is Primer Time. We are live. My name is Michael.
I'm Nick, and it is a good day to be a gun owner.
That's right. Every day is a good day to be a gun owner, and it's an even better day to be an ammunition buyer. So get out there and buy some ammo. Tonight we have live phones, so 718-717-8296 if you want to call in and be a part of tonight's extravaganza and spectacle. Nick, what'd you do this week?
Actually, this week was just kind of shoring up some stuff around the house. Didn't really get a chance to go out and do anything. I was about to go to the local house of Chinese tools, but the distance from my house made it improbable that I would actually make it out there. So I did end up going to Lowe's looking for a torque wrench and also a digital caliper, and then figured out that Lowe's is there to rape you because those prices are a little pricey.
Well, the sad thing is probably the torque wrench at Lowe's is probably made by the exact same company that makes the torque wrenches for House of Chinese Tools, but it's last year's design.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But keeping up with the Joneses can cost you.
I was surprised. I actually found it for half the price of what Lowe's was charging. Actually found it at Sears, where America shops, for half price.
Sears is kind of one of those American businesses that appears to be on the way out. Like they've lost their way amongst the good folk, and nobody shops at Sears. Craftsman doesn't have the same name that it used to.
Yeah.
In days of yore, you could bust a Craftsman wrench and walk right in there, and they'd give you another Craftsman wrench, and you were back out and working on your car in less than a half hour. And now it's not like that. So at that, being jacked by the consumer or by the manufacturer and the retailer and the corporations, you might as well buy from the Chinese. Even if you bought an American tool, the money's not staying here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a sad sign of the times. But you used to be able to buy tools direct. You remember those Snap-on tool trucks?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Snap-on, man. He's kind of hurting in this economy right now.
Yeah,
and
I haven't seen. I used to work at a car wash long ago, and I used to see those guys stop by every day. Hey, you guys need some new tools? I haven't seen them at all.
Yeah, the Snap-on guy's not nearly as busy as he once was, let's say 15, 20 years ago. I'll tell you who is much busier in my area, and I find it to be highly ironic, is the Schwann's man.
Haha, yeah. But is it Schwann's or is it El Schwann?
No, it's because the people who would say El Schwan usually do not shop with Schwans. Schwans, delivers the pre-made heat 'em and eat meals, and at a fairly decent price. So, and by decent I mean outrageous.
Yeah. Well,
And it's all irradiated for your safety too, so there won't be any kind of bacteria or anything like that. And as a matter of fact, you can probably cook it and leave it on a shelf for 20 years and it won't rot.
yeah. So what about you, Michael? What did you get to do this week?
Guaranteed to keep the books. Oh, I hit a gun show over the weekend.
Cool. How was it?
It was fairly busy. It was not as busy as the last one that I went to about 2 months ago, or a month ago, rather. But this crowd seemed to be a little more educated. It didn't seem to be the panic buyers, but these were who maybe were younger and new into it and were more open to asking another visitor to the show what to have, and we're more open to transactions of that nature rather than just being stuck at an FFL table.
Right.
Once again, there was a higher than I remember in the past number of law enforcement agents at the show. Prices on brand new stuff, of course, was coming out much less than prices with the Liberty sticker on it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything that was person-to-person sale seemed to be fairly pricey, and except for some people who just don't know what they've got, or they don't care what they've got. They've got their mindset on something else, and so I mean, know what your value of your item is. Do your homework before you go to something like this, and you'll make out better in the end.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Necessarily to make out, unless it's just to walk out with that one certain item that you came for, and Well,
that's what I was about to say. It seems like if you go in there with a focused mindset and you're trying to find the specific item that you want, you're almost likely to not come out successful. I've seen a lot of things like where I work. I have this bulletin board. We have a couple guys that are home-based FFLs, and they make sure to remind you what necessarily that whatever they're trying to sell you would go for, full MSRP. So they knock $20 off, and they try and convince you that they're doing you the greatest favor in the world. And anybody that's pretty aware on pricing, they're these things stay on the bulletin board.
Well, the dealer doesn't. The dealer doesn't buy necessarily at whatever the MSRP is.
No, certainly doesn't.
As a matter of fact, I know I'm friends with one of the guys who runs an FFL table there, and he happened to have the holy grail of the SIG 938, and he had the Nitron Black ambidextrous one that has no fancy to it. It's just plain business black. And he had it at a price of $619, and at one chance when I got to speak with him, he said that he had he got in 25 of them, but he had to contract to buy 500 of them at $575. So he's making, 60, $30, $40 at the end of it all.
Yeah, well, I mean, then you got to figure in
for each one. He's got travel time. He's got the expensive storing it. He's got the expensive lane to cash out and not being able to use that for something else. So he's sitting on that inventory, and he really can't charge outrageous prices because even if he's got the only one out there, who's going to buy it if the price is too high?
Yeah,
I believe the economy has changed when it comes to firearm purchases.
Well, it has kind of turned into a buyer's market right now. Give you an example. Saw at the beginning of the week, I saw a Ruger 5.56 rifle being advertised for sale, person to person, advertised on sale for $850. I think it was. So I saw that Friday. By this morning the price had dropped to $650. So
And this was on a Ruger what?
the Ruger 556.
Okay.
So, you take a look at it. What convinces a guy to drop his price $200 over the weekend?
Well, he's probably had it up for 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe he needs money fairly bad,
Yeah. That's the only thing I could think of. And then when you figure in what's the cost of a Ruger 556 right now? Probably if you get
Well, it depends which one, the piston or the gas
the
operated.
regular direct impingement.
I believe that is somewhere right about 600 and maybe 650 at the most.
Right.
Brand new, maybe 700 brand new.
So what I'm thinking is that people are starting to realize that, you know what, the scare has kind of passed for the time being. There's not really a need to really overpay. It's the same kind of point with the ammo.
Well, in today's economy, you're looking at people have the need to, take care of some of the basics right now. Rent, mortgages, food, fuel, toilet paper, and you couple that with the bad economy, and then with the recent unpleasantness in 2013, basically up till now. I mean, 22 is still not normal. You're looking at a lot of money spent in a time when the economy was kind of hurting.
Yeah.
And people paid quite a bit. I mean, I remember right after, there were regular Bushmaster AR-15s going for $2,500. That's right now you could buy for $2,500. You could buy 4 of them.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
4.5.
I'm looking at one. I just pulled up Cabela's. They're selling that Ruger SR556 for $1,700. So, what's in? But
that's name? That is the piston version, though, right?
Oh, this one. Let's see here. Doesn't really say anything about the gas system. So
I would almost gather just by that pricing that it's going to be the piston operated, and we've found that the piston operated system is always more expensive, but in the end, it is more reliable.
It is. So yeah, this one does say it's the 2-stage piston operation. So yeah, you're going to spend a little bit more. However, it still comes with the A2 style buttstock and no front sight post. You're going to have to go ahead and buy those separately.
You will continue to have to accessorize your Barbie through the Google Play Store.
That's it.
Let me ask you, what did you figure that you could start a person who took the time, you could start building a complete lower for? What was your approximate cost?
Well, depending upon the logo that you want to have on the magazine. Well,
let's just say you just want functional.
Yeah, you just want functional. You can pick up stripped lowers. I've seen them as low as $45 or $49. But then of course
I've seen.
Yeah. I think the latest I've heard but have not personally seen was $39.95, and that is for a stripped blemish, lower receiver. But you still have the cost of billing in your FFL transfer fee. So unless you're like me, who's able to do business with a local guy who is just happy to keep his 556 up to date, you want to go ahead and just make sure that you can have them, and you just take your time, build it out, and do what you can do. That's one of the best things that I can say to anybody is really take a look at your inventory that's available out there.
Hey,
yeah,
sorry about it.
We got your back.
Sorry about
it. But Michael, what I was just saying is that you spend anywhere between $35 and $45 for a lower. The parts kits, I've seen them, $10-15 depending upon where you get them. What you're going to run into costing a little bit more is the stuff for the buffer tube, the buffer spring, the buffer, and the stock. Well, all said and done, you can build a lower for right about $100. And then to do it yourself, it's just the satisfaction of knowing that you did it. You didn't have to go anywhere else. You know what parts went in there, and you knew that you did it right. You don't have to worry
All right,
about.
so about $150 on the high side.
Yeah, on the very high side, $150.
Adams Arms has their complete piston upper. I believe it contains. It does not contain a bulk carrier group or a charging handle though, and that is going for $461.
That's insane.
That's a blemish model. So right there, you can get into the piston AR game for less than $1,000 total.
Yeah,
You know,
and then there's also
you're-
the ability to do a conversion kit from Adams Arms. So if you've got the upper and you just want to convert from the direct impingement over, I think got Midway USA last year. The prices have fluctuated, but I saw them at one point where Midway USA was blowing them out. They had the piston conversion kits for under $200.
Wow, that's a screaming deal if you got the time and the skill to build it.
Yeah. One thing I would definitely
718-896 717-71 forgive me 718-717-8290.
Yeah.
Tell us we're exactly wrong about anything.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm kind of interested in seeing is we talk about the availability of ammo. One thing that we really didn't talk about was the availability of reloading equipment. Finished ammunition subject to supply and demand. For a while there, after the multiple tragedies of the month, everything from small rifle and large rifle primers was sold out. You couldn't get powder in any formula for months. And what I'm actually starting to see is that stuff is starting to come back into supply.
Well, it is. It's available at shows, and once again, at a show, all ammunition is completely expensive, and that applies to reloading supplies as well and the equipment. But it was there and it was available. So if somebody wanted to make the investment, it was there.
Yeah,
I would say that the prices were about 15 to 20, maybe 30% higher than maybe retail.
And this is one of the things that I was going to throw out there for anybody that was interested in doing reloading. There's absolutely no reason to jump right into a multi-stage progressive press that does 4 rounds of reloading at a time with a precision powder measure. You don't have to get into that. There are some very inexpensive opportunities for you to spend roughly $50 and be able to get either the Lee loader kit, or you can actually even go with the Lee hand press, and that kit will have just about everything you need to go ahead and reload round by round. One other option that I wanted to bring up was, if you remember, Michael, we talked about the Lee C-clamp style press.
That's right.
So right now, I've seen on Natchez that they're selling those for like $26. So whatever you pay for your shipping, you could potentially get 2 of those. You sit right at about $60. Get yourself a set of dies for whatever caliber you want to reload, and then your hand priming tool or auto prime if you want to go ahead and spend a little bit more money, and you can go ahead and go from one press to the other. With the decapping die in one and the bullet seating die in the other, and you can basically reload step by step and not have to change out your dies. If you're looking to spend $100, that's another way to do it.
Well, as we've been talking about earlier tonight, prior to the show, you and I. The rush is really going to be on the ammunition. They figured out that the actual bans and prohibitions on the firearms themselves is not working out. I mean, if you need any more proof, look at New York State's ban on the AR-15. It spawned some seriously hideous. Right, some seriously hideous rifles, but also, Ares Defense has an SCR, which is more of a traditional-looking rifle that operates much like an AR-15 and takes the AR-15 magazines.
Yeah, innovation is going to outpace the laws that the legislators come up with. And You know what? Just in case anybody has been watching, Harry Reid has decided that he will step down from the Senate, and he's put a heir apparent name out there of Charles Schumer to take over for him. And if anybody knows Charles Schumer, that guy he would ban air if he could.
Air could be used as a weapon, and please think of the Holocaust. Yeah, that's Charles Schumer in a nutshell right there.
Yep.
Boy, that's a horrendous thought. I'd not heard anything about that.
That came out a couple days ago. So, it's a
I did
sign
hear
of the
that
times.
Harry Reid was stepping down, but not that Schumer was stepping in. My
Yeah.
God, that's just disgusting.
I figured that
Seriously.
would make your day.
Oh, that's gross.
So, and that's one of the things. You take a look at the stuff that's gone on in New York and some other states in the nation in terms of firearms. California, you can't buy a handgun magazine that holds more than 10 rounds. That's whether that was coming after the Northridge police shootout with the guys that tried to rob the banks. I think.
Well, actually, if you want to, you got to go to the Norco shootout, which happened in several years before the North Hollywood shootout. In the city of Norco, there was a shootout, and it was four guys. They were in a van, actually five guys, four shooters and a driver, and they basically shot it out with the police. They destroyed God knows how many cars. They actually had several injured and wounded, and I believe dead officers.
Yeah.
And I believe they put two helicopters out of commission as well.
Oh, well, I would be surprised to see anybody had decent enough aim to do that.
No, well, I mean, if you wish, look it up. The Norco shootout, they put out two helicopters, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, they didn't end up getting away. They all ended up dying, but they put on a fierce display.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the magazine bans really started their big push after that, and then say after the incident at McDonald's in San Ysidro.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That was pretty bad as well, and I think they really started the push on that, and that was also kind of the beginning of the push on pushing out the Chinese as players in the firearms market.
Well, I'll tell you what. One of the things that I'm seeing is that whether you're in a state like New York or Illinois, the whole push has been take away things from sportsmen, whether, hey, we're going to ban lead, and all of a sudden that was formulated as a, hey, let's remove lead from our streams, lakes, rivers, and watersheds because of these irresponsible fishermen. Let's ban monofilament fishing line because it's just thrown away by the bushel, and it's it's damaging to our environment.
It's the short-sighted and it's the knee-jerk reaction because you can even push that back to when they removed lead from gasoline. All right, now you've got a ton of other additives that are in it. One of them is MTBE, and it's methyl tetrabutylethene or something like that, and it's completely toxic, and that's coming out of every vehicle's tailpipe that burns gasoline.
Right.
So, I think lead is, if anything, it's at least elemental. This is just a big chemical cocktail soup that we're getting hit with. So, I mean, it's really no secret that, and you're not necessarily a conspiracy theorist if you just happen to look around and say, hey, shit's not right.
Yeah.
And
that's going around.
Do you believe that it's going around? Do you think that people are seeing that, hey, shit is not right?
Well, I think it. Let's just use the example of the shootout with the NSA cops and the transvestite hookers who were trying to leave the grounds at Fort Meade.
Let's go with that because shootout implies that the trannies shot back at the cops.
Yeah, so you take a look. Anybody knows that the first reports that come out in the news are oftentimes flat out wrong or have serious missteps in the reporting process. So,
or may just not jive with the official story that has to be put out later.
right. So, at first, the limited information that comes out is that there's a gate incident where a vehicle attempted to run past a security barrier, and the occupants inside were involved in a shootout with the NSA police. And then there were two men who were dressed as women, and we don't know that this is terrorism. They put the fear out there pretty quick. I mean, that was almost seconds later. And you think anybody that's been in the military, that's been to Iraq or Afghanistan, knows that bad guys aren't necessarily afraid to go ahead and don in a dress or a burqa to try and get out of a bad situation. So then I started seeing the pictures that were coming over Twitter feeds. And there's a dead guy on the ground covered up by a brown plastic bag, and there's a pretty brown, curly wig on the floor next to him. So that's
not burqa approved.
Yeah,
right
I was
there.
going to say this is starting to look a lot less like a shootout and a lot more like there's a government employee who is soon to be out of a job for bringing transvestite hookers on to the base and doing coke and partying with them.
We've seen to have kind of a rash of that, like in the last couple, I'd say the last less than a week. I mean, you've got the report that the DEA agents in Colombia were, partying with underage hookers and probably some really good blow straight from the source, provided, of course, by the cartels. And they were, trading guns back and forth and basically going to Bad Boy Disneyland for a long time. And
Michael, I couldn't hear you. I just had to turn up Fast and Furious. It's on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Then let's talk about the last one. They've talked about the Silk Road, using the Tor network so you can buy things using Bitcoins that you're not necessarily allowed to have, such as drugs or child pornography or, oh my Lord, a gun. And it just came out recently that two FBI agents stole Bitcoins and continued the operation for a while and made a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, this was actually regarding the Silk Road civil forfeiture of property. So, yeah, don't think for 1 second that.
I mean, and that's just the puppets, the monkeys that they've got on a string, the monkey on a leash that's beating on the drum and banging the cymbals. It's we don't. I hesitate to bring up Hillary Clinton. I mean, this is a firearm show, and we shouldn't necessarily bring her up in this instance. But I mean.
I'm so glad she's not a Secretary of State anymore. That way I can tell that windbag to go get blown.
Yeah, that's not that would be like insubordination or something, a little while ago for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what does it matter?
Really, what does it matter? And really, if you think about it, it's all nothing but a vast right-wing conspiracy anyway.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sucks to be her because she's about to get some scrutiny. She's kind of.
I think I'm gonna lose some bucks on the bets that I made with the Hillary Rom.
I believe it was the Hillary Rom 2016 Just the Tip America ticket.
Just the Tip America. I think we're gonna have to change that probably to Ted Cruz Rahm Emanuel 2016.
I don't think that's gonna be a holy alliance there. I don't think they're gonna see eye to eye. What I will.
Ted Cruz is he wants a ride there.
Yeah, but trust me, you put Ted Cruz and you put Marco Rubio together,
and he is about to go and kiss the wall.
He very well may, but I'll tell you what, you put Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz in a room, you're going to have some divided Cubans. I'll tell you that much. There won't be a dry eye in the house when those two guys get done telling the rags to riches story.
I've been looking for the gasoline and the detergent at that time, Mr. Lewis. Both of those guys, man. Jeez. Quit giving Cubans a bad name.
Yeah.
Think you guys just like deal dope or be communist or something? I mean, overt.
Well, you got to remember some of the things that a lot of the political pundits have said, that the candidacy for the Republican ticket has really been squandered the last couple of years, because partly was due to the fact that they hadn't had a clear party candidate until very late in the election cycle. And I will tell you that from a learning from your past mistakes standpoint, Ted Cruz was pretty smart to get out there and throw his name in the hat and strike while the iron is hot. So, that you gotta look for somebody that's got the integrity.
You got to kiss the wall before there's a big line to wait
There
in.
you go. That's it. So speaking of kissing the wall, you see that the His Honor in Chicago has been called out and told, by the challenger, that he's not the king of Chicago.
I'm liking that Mossad Mayor Emmanuel is getting told what's up.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that.
And I'll tell you, you lose
in the
the teachers union in Chicago, you're going to be in bad shape.
I think in the end it doesn't matter, because remember, it doesn't matter who's running or who votes or any of that. It matters who counts the votes. And I do believe that Chicago is a Diebold town.
It is. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think that there's going to be a change. It was shocking enough that he has to go to a runoff, and I think that was a not necessarily a wake up call, but he took notice of that, and I think that he's going to go ahead and remind everybody that it's his town. And you'll see that on any of the upcoming debates that they have, if they happen to have any more. He's not a guy that likes to debate in the open forums, and
he's not a guy who likes firearms at all. And
certainly not.
And that's really kind of what we're getting at behind all of this. It's intrusions on your liberty, and everything is always aimed at taking away your right to own a firearm, and the food firearm. So, and we've got people who are on our side, or claim to be on our side, who really, I don't think, are really working for the common man. They got moneyed interests in it, and
you can follow the money and see where everybody's true priorities lie. But here's the thing. Anybody. I'm
sorry. Go right ahead.
Yeah, anybody that comes out as a politician that tells you, I'm for you, and I've got to go out and take a photo op, going through South Dakota pheasant season, or I got to go out through, Ohio slug gun season and bag me one of them whitetails, and you got to look past it. Shooters of all calibers know that when somebody is doing something just for the PR aspect of it, because
you do not Photoshop Obama's picture with the shotgun. That's just wrong.
Yeah, with the extra long choke on the barrel, I might add.
And not only that, it was like there was like ports all over. Like it could not have any sort of recoil. I mean, there was like 27 ports per side of that. I mean, I'm surprised that any shot actually made it out of the barrel.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to rough up that shoulder. He's got a lot of basketball to play.
Reggie Love will give him the rub down.
That's it.
Give him the rub down.
Well, he'll be using some of that Tiger Balm.
And so then we have to look at our representatives who work with the NRA and are not necessarily working for us. Because tell you what, everybody's screaming and well, look at the last gun show. Look at any of the traders or for sale pages or your newspaper ads, wherever you can find used guns for sale, and you will see that the prices are damn near what they are to a new one in the store. And there's a reason for that. And people don't trust the government having a list of who's got guns.
Right. And that's one of the things. I think we talked earlier in the week. And looking at the differences of between now and a couple months ago on our gun trader bulletin boards, you've come across a new phenomenon.
Oh, well, several new phenomena. But let me finish this here real quick. Something I'd like to say is for anybody out there who, well, especially for previous gun owners and current gun owners right now, but especially for people who haven't owned a firearm before, maybe you're coming up on your first purchase. If you go to a gun show, there's going to be an NRA table right there. A lot of people will pay the extra $1 because they think they're supporting their freedom and all that, and get into the show for free and sign up for the NRA at that time. Well, immediately you're going to find out that the NRA is categorize you because you have to choose, do you want American Sportsman magazine? Do you want the American Home Defense magazine? Do you want the American Rifleman magazine? Do you want the American Hunter magazine?
Yeah, that's slick marketing and demographics.
Well, it's not necessarily. I don't even believe it's marketing, Nick. I believe that
it's demographics. It's demographics. They're trying to pigeonhole you, and they're trying to categorize you.
Exactly, and that's a whole lot of information that you wouldn't necessarily. I mean, we're having a fight of giving that over to the government right now.
Oh,
and people willingly.
I don't think that there is a give. I think that people are just upset that they've had it taken and they didn't know about it.
Absolutely. And just like everything, we're always a day late and a dollar short to the fight. But
you just got to remember, anytime you use Facebook or Google, remember the government paid to help those guys start up. So where do you think that information is going?
Absolutely, it's all going there.
And I'm a member of said government, so yeah.
I'd like to encourage anybody who's out there who uses Facebook to go ahead and use a fake name on Facebook.
But that would be in violation of the terms of standards of what was it? Terms of use.
Well,
I think that it's pretty
whatever.
bad. Yeah,
they're not the government yet.
Yeah, they're largely funded by it.
In almost every state, more gun friendly, you'll find that there are groups on Facebook to purchase, buy, sell, and trade guns. You know, they make the marketplace basically. You have you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Michael.
You have your ability to meet somebody else and to have that person-to-person, face-to-face sale. And that's absolutely being watched. So, yeah, go ahead and use a fake name. Whatever. You can't use Juan Guacamole Tamale. That name has been banned by Facebook.
Yeah, but Juan Hot Tamale is available.
But you got to spell hot like in a way that the Google bot won't pick up on.
That's right. For my French Canadian friends, it's HOTTE.
So big ruckus at the gun show was the emergence of the Glock 43. People are asking when it's coming out. So that has actually reached out into the appreciative world of firearms and the potential customer base, and that's some of the people are definitely looking for. Looks like the MSRP on that is going to be $580, which is not cheap, but it's cheaper than a 938.
Yeah, and when you think about Glocks, right off the top of your head, you're thinking at least $500. So
absolutely, and that's basically what a used Glock goes for. In my area, a used Glock goes for $450 to $550 for any of the 9mm or the 40 calibers. The 45 ACP usually comes out at about $550 to $600 and up for a used one. 40 caliber Glocks seem to be all over the place, and I'm just not a fan of the 40 caliber Glock.
Yeah, but one of the interesting things about the 40 caliber Glock that I'm actually seeing around is they have conversion kits to turn them into 9mm. So why not buy a 9mm in the first place?
Well, that's something to think about, but tell you what, that might be the appropriate answer for you in your Glock 40 situation. Because that's really in the end, that's really what the problem is with the Glock 40. It's a bad situation, and it really comes down to the ammo. And I'm not bad mouthing 40 caliber ammo. I personally don't like it. I don't like to shoot it or anything. But the problem is that it's such a much higher pressure round than standard 9mm or 45 ACP. It's got significantly 3 times the amount of pressure, and the design that the Glock uses for the 40 caliber platform is basically just a 9mm that's been wallered out to fit all the 40 caliber guts.
Oh, that's one of the things. I've never really had a problem with mine, and maybe it's because I maintain mine. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit more aware. I don't go crazy with doing hand loads that stretch the capabilities.
No, I mean, there's been plenty instances of Glock Kaboom in 40 caliber with just standard factory. I went to Walmart and I bought this. I went to the gun shop and I bought this brand new current production ammunition that's been stored correctly and blah blah blah. Yeah. So I mean, it's just really the problem is there's too much pressure in that cartridge for that design. It's not the appropriate cartridge for that design, and that pretty much seems to be the problem across all of Gunland with the 40 caliber. That nothing gets in, save for the Beretta Nano and the FN Fabrique Nationale FN series, the FNX and FNS series. Nothing is designed around the 40 caliber. Everything is a 9mm wallered out or a 45 that's been shrunk down.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the other things too, is that Glock seems to do pretty well with is their 10mm versions.
Well, that's interesting because those are on a completely different frame than the 40 caliber, and really what a 10mm is a long 40 caliber.
Right, and like I said, depending upon what type of hole you want to put in paper, do whatever you want. But some folks like the 40 caliber because police departments have gone to it.
It's been about man obtains nuclear rage when he finds out that 9mm is cheaper.
Oh.
It makes the same hole. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think
the FBI is going back to the 9mm. 9mm is just it appears that once again in the firearms world, in the firearms industry, there's been attempts to answer questions that haven't been asked and to repair problems that don't exist. And, that's part of the innovation process and the learning process, I guess, and the money-making process.
Yeah. Well, I think, you just gotta do your research. I mean, we say it week in, week out. Do your research, get familiar with the firearm, but don't necessarily even just take your information from one source. Go to a couple different sources to get what you're looking for. Different types of ammunition loaded at the factory generate different amounts of pressure. Some factory ammo, as you've had problems with in the past, just as bad coming off the production line, and their manufacturers are willing to do something about it.
Some of the information that would come from the factories isn't necessary. It's just, like an automobile manufacturer. They say they get 28 miles per gallon, and in actual driving, you get 22, maybe 21. Right. Sometimes the manufacturer information is optimistic at best. Sometimes it's wildly inaccurate. It's either too low or it's too high. So, I mean, there are people who have the equipment to test certain aspects, pressures, ranges, speeds, and they'll give their own independent view of this. I mean, on ammunition that they spend their money on, not that they were supplied by whatever vendor, to give it a good name. By the way, they're not sponsored by G2 Ammo, RFP rounds at
the last rounds you'll ever need.
Last round you'll ever need. Right now available. $37 for a box of 20.
Yeah. Now,
Trocars, man. Trocars. Incredible piercing. You should see what it does against a balloon filled with flour in slow motion from a Glock 18.
Wow. So Michael, I'm kind of interested to see. We talked a little bit about aggregators for ammo, trying to go out there and see the best price, or at least a varied assortment of prices that you can expect to pay for ammo out there on the ship to market. What are some of your standbys? What do you go to when you want to look at ammo online?
I sort of I'm a fan of doing business with a few stores personally, but when I do need to check an item, I'll check probably slickguns.com, and I'll take a look at ammoseek.com. Gunwatcher has found some interesting items for me, but they don't seem to have the same power to their search engine. And that's something I've noticed is a lot of these places, they all come up with very similar answers for common items, and if you're searching for something that's a little more unique, you can find wildly different answers between all of the aggregators.
Right, and you like AmmoSeek, and I actually take a look at Gunbot. Gunbot is the same kind of aggregator. Their information is real time. I mean, I've literally been on the page, refreshed it, something was there a second ago, and it was sold out. Same kind of thing though. They've got their commonly searched for categories up top. You can go ahead and go down a little bit lower and just find if you can, type in something, and if it's, say it's a customary type round in the non-metric calibers, it'll probably come up. They have some of the metric calibers too. So some of you folks that like the German guns, the 7mm Mausers, the 8mm Mausers, the Argentine Mausers, that stuff will be there. But, depending upon what you get.
Shout out to all our proto-Nazis in the audience.
Yeah, anybody in South America listening?
What's up, all y'all down there at the compound in the stronghold?
Yeah, keeping it real.
Keeping it real. How do you say keeping it real in German?
Oh, let me see here for a minute.
Bitte.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'd have to think long and hard about it, and there's a Dos Equis in front of me, so it'll be.
We're not having none of that tonight.
Yeah, it'll be thought of in German, and it'll be coming out in Spanish.
I thank God.
Yeah, a la verga.
All right, so we didn't do a whole lot of research.
I just ruined your train of thought with that right there.
Right ahead.
Yep. So no, like I said, I think I'm starting to see stuff in the big box stores starting to stabilize. I actually went into Dick's Sporting Goods, and I talked with the guy behind the counter. They're pretty limited on the kinds of ammunition that they have there. And when I asked about, well, do you guys carry any kind of reloading components? They're like, no, we're not going to. That would kind of put us in the same category as Gander Mountain. Those are the two big sporting goods stores out where I'm at. And it seems that Dick's was one of the were one of the companies that really, kind of tried to screw the gun buyer during the big scare of Sandy Hook. And they raised their prices, and to include at one point, they took all AR-15s off the shelf. So I think that people have a collectively very short memory.
Absolutely, I would agree with that.
Yeah, anybody that voted for Obama the second time, obviously a very, very short memory.
Well, so, even amongst gun owners who are, generally are a little more aware. I mean, just like we said, people are starting to wake up that hey, something's not right. Even amongst that crowd, I'm finding that people are actually recommending Cheaper Than Dirt as a good place to get a bargain.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's more of a sign of the short memory, just pure plain economics, or a blind greed.
Yeah, I think that
is it even a blind greed? Because I think some of the issues, I don't care how bad that company screwed us before, as long as I get the product cheap, which is that's the Walmart mentality.
Yeah, I think that's even more of a misinformation or an information operations campaign aimed at the inexperienced gun or firearms buyer. I think that's anybody that says anything about Cheaper Than Dirt that I've heard lately has not been positive.
Well, I'm seeing it on several of the groups that I go to. Is like somebody will ask a question, hey, where can I find this? And it never fails. In every thread, somebody pops up and says Cheaper Than Dirt, and then posts the website, and and then that derails everything immediately, because then it goes into a fight between somebody who says, well, Cheaper Than Dirt sucks, and then you get into the argument, I don't care how bad they suck, they're cheap.
Yeah. Well, but then again, you also have to remember that they are paying big bucks in advertising right now, because they are one of the sponsors every half hour on the Glenn Beck radio program. So that should tell you something.
Are they really?
They are. And since Glenn Beck is a nationally syndicated program, the reach of that channel is pretty far and wide, and they're a mass media company. So
has like 14 more listeners than us, and that's it.
Yeah, but that's those are the 14 that are going to the bathroom while we're talking about guns. You know what I mean?
Those are the 14 with credit cards.
Yeah. Yeah. If we can get the Henry Rifles company to go ahead and start sponsoring us, we would be able to take credit cards. You know what I mean?
I would pimp myself out for CCI Stingers. I would go and I would say nice things in another language about Browning high powers all day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did happen to see an interesting deal that was proposed on the bulletin board at work. It was the Henry Golden Boy rifle. Guy wanted $325 for it. So you know, I'm not a huge fan of the 22 long rifle, mainly because the ammo's hard to get. But that, and I don't have a lot of places to shoot. I would just say, you know, I told the guy, I said, hey, if I were you, that's a pretty decent price. You know, what if there was a Henry Big Boy rifle in the 45 long Colt? You know, that's another story altogether.
That's coming in at about $750, $800 sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on how pretty the thing is.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know. Do you want something that's pretty to look in the safe, or do you want something that's functional to go take out to the range?
A lot of people do want the pretty, and I'll tell you, if you're out there in the market and you're looking for maybe a first firearm or another firearm or just a really good value, take a look at some of the older Smith and Wessons that are out there. There was another police trade-in of 59 series Smith and Wessons, some 5904s and 6906s, which are one is the 59 series is a 15 round magazine and a full size service, and then the 69 is kind of a compact with a 12 round magazine. And there's just been a bunch of those put on the used market, and those are going for $275, and that's a damn good pistol with an affordable magazine. You can get good quality magazines for those for less than $25.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's one of the things that they tried to ban. They tried to ban the guns themselves. They tried to ban the magazines. You know, now it's the components that make the bullets. You know, there's never an end.
Point. It's still the magazines to the point, but it's not necessarily the legislators or the oppressive government that's doing it. It's the companies, because honestly, let's take a look at the Sig 938. Magazines for that are $40 a piece, and it's a 6 rounds stainless steel, folded, stamped, and welded with a spring in it. There's nothing fancy to it.
Yeah, you could actually, if you can bend metal, you could probably make some of those yourself.
I would say so, but then that probably violates the SIG warranty and all that kind of noise. Which, yeah, but go ahead and fill out your warranty card and get on another list.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, that's one of the things that I actually had the good fortune to actually meet a friend in Germany who would take bolt action Mausers, and he would remove the internal magazine, and he would fabricate his own box magazine that would extend beyond the bottom of the trigger guard, but he would increase his capacity from a standard 5-round magazine to 10. And that was just, you know, I was thinking, you know what, we don't tend to have those kinds of craftsmen here these days. Oh, those guys are long gone. And I was
those craftsmen went away when we were able to get items from China very, very cheap. That man's labor and his cost became unbearable in the light of value, and not even true value. It's just pure rampant consumerism.
Well, but I think that they didn't necessarily all go away, because I think in niche markets, those guys still survive to a point based on name recognition and the appreciation of the quality of the product that they create. I think that there are quite a few people that are like, you know, you've seen the engravings on some of the rifles that are out there. A lot of those hand engravers are, you know, just as qualified craftsmen. I mean, real true artisans. When you talk about an artisan, some people think about a guy who works at Subway building a sandwich, right? We used to have that. You remember in Tucson, we used to have that place, Baggins.
Those were sandwich artisans, and then they also hired dish technicians.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, you know, if you have an opportunity to come across, you know, a rifle that's a little bit older, maybe it's got some nice work in the stock, maybe it's got some nice engraving on the barrel, That may be worth it to pick up, because those I've seen starting to come around at estate auctions. A lot of older folks are passing on, and they've had rifles that have been passed down since, probably coming back from World War II. You may be able to pick up an interesting metric caliber. You may be able to pick up a really nice, Springfield rifle. You just keep your eyes out. Take a look and see what's
you people in New York better act quick when Grandpa goes, because the cops will beat you to that rifle.
Yeah, they will, especially in Buffalo, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Right? Was it at the gathering after the funeral?
That's
Is
right.
that when
yeah.
the police showed up?
Yeah, that's it. So
let's touch on that for a second. So, man, a World War II veteran died in Buffalo, and family had the funeral, and the gathering after the funeral, everybody gets a little bit to eat and says, "I'm sorry," blah blah blah, and the police crashed it. And they came looking for Grandpa's 4 hunting rifles and a shotgun.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, a gangster Tech 9 with an extended 30-round clip. They were after his hunting rifles and his shotgun.
You said clip. I'm going to come through the phone.
Well, that's why I said it. It's the 30-round clip in the Tech 9.
Yeah.
I noticed I didn't say it was a 15-round or a 30-round magazine and an AR-15.
There you go. Yeah, Lord forbid that they have that.
Yeah, a standard capacity magazine, what it's sold with.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the other thing. We want to tell people to be on the lookout. When you read a news article, look and see who the author is. Look for the language that's used. I saw the latest proposed ban from Representative Israel. It said to the nearest thing was to ban centerfire, high-power ammunition capable of penetrating body armor. Well, yeah, okay. There's a lot of nothing in that speak, because just about any centerfire rifle ammunition can penetrate body armor.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you can get a gummy bear going fast enough, you can push it through a Kevlar vest.
I tell you what, there have been some days where I couldn't get a gummy bear past a fat teacher in high school without, hurting a couple kids. So.
Well, all right. Well, I've had some experience with some body armor, and I worked for an ambulance company for a while, and when Y2K turned over, there was all kinds of rush. And my company spent all kinds of money upgrading the radios, and then everybody was scared because on September 9th, everything went down at 9 o'clock in the morning, and everybody, oh my God, it's the apocalypse. Buy some bologna and put it away. So right before, everybody had to work on New Year's Eve that night, and if you didn't work, you were fired the next day. That's basically what they told us. And about a week before that, somebody said, well, what about body armor? What if you guys are expecting shit to go down, we might need something. They were. We had military MREs in all the quarters. We had 50 gallons of gas, stored for each truck at various locations around the city. They were concerned about this, and we all had 20 cases of water at each station. It was just an insane amount of preparation they did for this, and so they got us some bulletproof vests from the Air Force Base, and these were. Out of a Connex box that had been sitting in the desert for, I don't know what, that would have been 25 years at that point.
But they were humidity free.
yeah, they were humidity free. But so we got them, and they're basically Vietnam flak vests, and people were getting them and putting their hands through them.
Yeah,
because they were old and rotted, and our company went crazy, and they went out and they bought us some vests. But if they're considering those old military flak jackets as body armor, which I do believe they do consider them as body armor, a 9mm go through that.
Yeah, certainly. And we in the Army call those chicken vests, because we say that if you wear that, you're a big chicken.
Well, I guess if you need it, I can call me whatever you want to call me, as long as I don't get shot in the guts.
Yeah. They tend to be a little messy.
I kind of like my guts in the place they are right now, and with his little movement by speedy metal objects. Yeah. Oh man, we miss him. Listen, every firearm is loaded until you verify. Know what your target is. Don't sweep anybody with the muzzle, and keep your booger hook off the bang switch until you're ready to fire. Thank you, UCY.TV, everybody. Wonderful to have you.
All right, Michael. Take it easy, everybody.